All right, all. Today I want to go over vocal tips that can take your voice from zero to hero. So buckle up as I break these down. All right, guys. So I want to first start by saying that these tips may not be mind-blowing. If anyone has seen any of my videos on any of my social media platforms, it may not be new. And with that, I would love to say that a reiteration a lot of times is needed to really instill that, especially in a sea of so many different people saying so many different things and so many things that are the same. It's kind of nice to cut through all the noise and go, what are the really effective things that actually take you from beginner or wherever level you're at to the next level? And I want to instill in you guys that these are not things that only some elite few can do. These are things that all of you guys can do. Or if you are struggling at this moment and you have been doing things, maybe one of these is dropped out and you need to bring this back in, right? Because anytime that you are finding success and you are improving, you do not want to change those actions, right? It can be super tempting to be like, great, this is happening and I'm doing well. Like, let me get rid of all of that and let me introduce new things because now I'm going to do even more. And it's like, no, put the brakes on. You don't want to change actions that are leading to success. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't add on things, but you most definitely do not want to get rid of the things that have been helping you. So if you are struggling at this moment, maybe one of these things has dropped out and you may just want to bring this back in. So what are some tips that can really help you excel as a singer? Well, it may be no surprise, but actually physically warming up your body. You need to understand how the voice works, right? And with a quick understanding of that, you have your vocal cords here. They're housed by the larynx, right? The higher we go, they tighten. The lower we go, they loosen. And I always say, if there's tension here, right? Even if I just put my hands here and I put that pressure, you're gonna hear that in my voice, just my speaking voice. So you want to make sure that you are physically warming up your body. And that comes down to sometimes just some very basic, some people look at me like, huh? What do you mean, just shoulder rolls? And I'm like, yes, shoulder rolls. Do some shoulder rolls. Physically stretching if you need to. Go down to your toes, let your head dangle, like all of these things. Less tension in your body is going to help your vocal cords, in particular in this area, quickly change between those low notes and those high notes, or those low notes and the mid notes, whatever it may be. But they need that space in order to do that. And if you are going up against it, it's gonna make it so much harder. And that's when you run into things, guys, like that no one wants, right? Cracking, strain, nasally notes, all the things we do not. So please do me a favor and yourself and make sure that you are physically warming up the body. You might even find that working out or doing a light workout beforehand is really helpful for you. And so I encourage you to try different times of the day warming up and seeing how it feels after singing. Typically, I will say most people feel later in the day. It's not always at nighttime because they've really talked a lot, or they've had a lot of different things happening, so there might not be that energy source. And it's not always in the morning because people haven't started to talk and actually utilize their vocal cords. But again, everyone's different, so I challenge you to do that there. So tip number 1 is make sure you actually physically warm up the body. Tip number 2, guys, this is going to be, please do me a favor, do not neglect your diaphragmatic breathing. I know it seems so simple. And again, you might be hearing this over and over, but keep in mind that's really a good thing. If you're hearing the same thing from people who have had success in that area, or like vocal coaches like myself that have had success applying these things to myself as a vocalist, but also to the hundreds of artists that I've worked with and seen improvements, then run with that. Right? It's like, I'm hearing this over and over. That's a staple. So do not lose that. Going back to, again, what comes down to what are we doing when we're singing? we're engaging our vocal cords, right? Higher we go, they tighten, lower we go, they loosen. So if you are breathing into your chest, it's tightening things here. Another big no-no. So make sure you're not doing that there, okay? So you want to be physically warming up your body. You want to be implementing diaphragmatic breathing. Another huge thing is making sure that you learn how to create that C shape internally. That's a nice open space here, guys. And I always say low notes, small C, or that lowercase. Small c or lowercase c, higher notes, it's like a capital C, and you're kind of going back and forth on that. But it's really important that the shape here happens, because you can see that with singers, especially when they're hitting high notes, they're opening up, and you can really see, typically that involves too, and I have other videos on this, is the tongue and learning to keep that forward, right? So you want to learn to master this. Quick tip on that is just doing some nice open mouth yawns. You have your soft palate back here, and that raises up, right? When we yawn, and it tends to help create that nice open space. If you're struggling with a high note, pause, take a moment, do some nice yawns. Make sure you're kind of implementing that when you're hitting the note. And that can go a long way in really taking your vocals to the next level if you are not doing this already. And then another huge thing that I want for you to do is don't neglect your warm-ups, guys. Like, this is crucial, and I say this over and over and over and over, and I'll continue to say over and over and over, but it's like a runner or any athlete. You do not see your typical athletes like running just out there on the court if they're getting ready for a like basketball game, right? Typically involves them like stretching out, dribbling back and forth to each other, just different drills that are going to get their muscles going, get them engaged in the game. And it's drilling means repeating something like in a pattern over and over, so it really becomes instilled like muscle memory inside of you. And so when you're doing these warm-ups, you're really starting that process of stretching and getting yourself going, hence warm up, into more of like the game, right? When we start to work on the song. And you will see if you're not doing this and you drop this out, you're gonna see incremental improvements in your voice. I kind of came up with that. At the end of the day, you're going to see big improvements in your voice. So we have that there. And then the last thing is I want for you to master your mindset, right? Really, really watch for the comparison game. You are uniquely you. And I always say this because every time I say it, it just continues to amaze me that out of 8.5 billion people, there's only one of you and only your one voice, right? People can get really good at mimicking other people, but at the end of the day, it's still not them. Isn't that pretty damn amazing? Excuse my French here. But like, I just continue to be blown away with that. And so the problem is we admire people, so we tend to want to pin ourselves up against them. And that just becomes a really dangerous territory. So start to take measures to think positively of yourself. There's so much that goes into, the more and more I study, the positive affirmations, the things that you say to yourself can be brought into light, right? So I want for you to stop comparing yourself. Stop saying I stink. Stop saying I can't, right? There's certain things that we need to build to, so we need to be like realistic. Maybe at this moment, that note isn't happening, but maybe eventually it will if you apply these different things and you stay the course, right? But I want for you to really work on this right here because it goes such a long way to improving your voice. All right, guys, if this has helped you, do me a huge favor. Subscribe to this channel. The more that I see that there, the more that I know I'm reaching people, and it fills me to be able to fill you up and to continue to make these videos to hopefully help people up their game. So, subscribe, like, comment the things that you're running into. If this has helped you, I'd love to hear that. All right? So till next time, here is to going from 0 to hero.